Good morning all. In this video, we will talk about key figure groups. First, let's see where these key figures would be used. Okay, there are three apps in IBP where we would be using these key figure groups. First thing is IBP Excel add-in, and the next one is Realignment Objects, and the last one is Copy and Delete version. So let's take an example of Excel add-in, right? So whenever we create a planning view, first thing is that we have to, give time periods and then attribute selection. Later, we have to select the key figures which needs to be displayed on the planning view, right? So let's say we want to select a 10 plus key figures in a planning view, right? So what we do, we usually select each and every key figure one by one, right? So it usually takes a time. Let's say if you want to display 10 plus key figures like or 20 plus key figures, definitely it takes a lot of time to select each and every key figure. In case if you know those 10 key figures and if you can group them in a single key figure group, right, you can directly choose that key figure group so that you don't need to select key figures one by one. Okay, that's the one of the the advantages of having key figure groups. Okay, the same way, let's say you take a realignment object. Let's say you want to realign a product, let's say from P1 to P2 because of structural changes. So the product 1 is now getting changed to a product 2. Maybe it's a different version of a product, right? So when you are doing a realignment, you need to definitely realign the key figure data as well. So the key figure data might be for 10 plus key figures or 20 plus key figures because maybe you want to do the realignment of your sales history, do the realignment of your all your forecast key figures, right? So in that case also, when you're doing a realignment, you need to select one, I mean each and every key figure manually, right? So in case if you have a key figure group for those key figures as well, right? Directly you can choose a key figure group when you're doing a realignment, right? The other option is like copy and delete version. Definitely you might have used alternative versions in the planning, right? Let's say you want to copy your data from base version to the alternative version, or let's say you want to delete some key figures from your base version during your planning, right? So usually you don't do it for a single or two or three key figures. Most of the times maybe you can do it for five plus key figures, right? So if you know those key figures and if you can add those key figures in a key figure group, you can directly choose a key figure group instead of selecting them one by one, right? So this is the actual advantage of having a key figure group. So what is the actual uses? So predefined key figure groups allow more efficient handling of large number of key figures in a supported IBP application areas. So more number of key figures as in like 10 plus key figures, 20 plus key figures, right? If it is one or two key figures directly, you can, select manually, right? So the supported areas are Excel add-in, realignment object, and copy and delete version. Okay, now there are some restrictions as well. Let's say if you take Excel add-in, right, you cannot add all the key figures in the key figure groups. Let's say in Excel add-in, you cannot display or because let's say you take a time independent key figure because the time independent key figure doesn't have a time profile level and it's a planning level. You cannot display the time independent key figure in your planning view, right? At the same time, you take a helper key figure or take any generated key figures, like let's say you have a fixing indicator set for a particular key figure, right? So that fixing indicator would not be seen in the planning view because it's a generated key figure. So whenever you enable a fixing for a particular key figure, there'll be there'll be two key figure generated. So one is your fixing indicator, other one is a fixing quantity. Those key figures you cannot see in the planning view. So it means that whenever you use a key figure groups for Excel add-in, you cannot add those key figures which are not visible in the planning view, like helper key figure, time independent key figure, and the fixing indicator and fixing quantity key figures as well. The same way, let's say you take a realignment object, right? So in a realignment things, what do you do? Usually you do a realignment for a stored key figures. You cannot select the calculated key figures, right? Because realignment would always consider the stored value when it is doing a realignment. Okay, and the copy and delete version, definitely it's a stored values, right? You usually copy the stored value to a stored value. That's a copy, and you can also delete the stored values. Okay, so that's all about a key figure groups. Now I'll show you how to create a key figure group, and we'll see how a key figure group can be used in Excel add-in, how a real element object can be using a key figure group, and copy and delete version would be using a key figure group. Okay, let's get into the system. Okay, so these are all the key figure groups that I created. see, if you see here for the same planning area, I created three key figure groups here, right? One is a demand planning key figure for Excel add-in. So where used is Excel add-in, right? And I've created one more for realignment object and the other one for copy and delete version. So if you just open one of the key figure groups, you will see that the number of key figures that I assigned, you see total three key figures I assigned here. And the where used thing, this is where we tell the system that this key figure group would be used only in Excel add-in, right? The same way, if you select a realignment part, so here I have selected two key figures, just an example, just to show you. So where used is a realignment projects, okay? And then the other one is like manage versions. So where do we use this key figure group? Copy and delete version. So if I create a particular key figure group for copy and delete version, it cannot be used in Excel add-in and realignment. The same thing applicable for other key figure groups. Okay. First, let's see how we use in realignment. In a realignment step, while selecting a key figures things, right, you have an option to select a key figure group. So here I have just selected a demand planning key figure for realignment. That's it. All the key figures would be coming up. As soon as you select a key figure group, the assigned key figures in the key figure group would be automatically selected. Okay, so in the key realignment step, we use a key figure group. Now you see this is a delete version. In the delete version, what do you see here? Definitely you will see from which version you want to delete, from period to period, horizon, right? And you will have two options here. Either you can select a key figure or key figure groups, or of course you have a master data option as well. So while selecting the key figures that needs to be deleted, you can choose a key figure groups. So within which we'll have all the key figures that we have assigned in the key figure groups, right? So you have an option to select a key figure group as well. Okay, now I'll show you the Excel add-in part as well. Let's go to new view here and select a without template on current sheet. Of course, you can also select a from template, but in from template, definitely you know, right? All the added key figures would be coming up. Of course, you can change your settings as well. Now here, go to attributes. Let's say you select a product and location ID. Now go to key figure. And here, if you see, the key figure groups, a column is also coming just before your key figures options, right? If you see unassigned key figure and demand planning key figures for Excel add-in. So this is the key figure group that we created for Excel add-in. So if you select all of them, all the key figures will be selected. Let's say if you don't select, right, nothing is getting displayed because of a time horizon here. I mean the time period level here. So if I select a technical week, now I would be getting all the key figures which are assigned in the key figure groups, right? We can select everything at once, right? So without the key figure group, right, you have to choose each and every key figure manually. Okay, that's it from my side. Thank you very much. If you like this video, please share it with your friends.